Welcome to Ben Nevares podcast with your host, Ben Nevares.
Caught me hitting in the spirit, crucified my flesh. I was living ghetto lyrics, even though I'm blessed. The best was heaven sent, never heaven made. While you sipping on your syrup and your Escalade, I be beating down the path of my navigators. Haters be bringing up my past, but his love is greater. Later, I'm bringing you the words, the milk, the milks, the meats. Taking over ghetto, suburbia, hoods, and street. I'm treating them like cubed ice, ice, ice. Living so trife, they need Jesus in their life. Repent and represent the one from above to show us how to truly love. Cause the tongue is wicked and full of deadly poison. Follow the poison, the one to bring the noise in. Broad is the way to destruction. Many are rushing, fussing and cussing and being mushed in. Why go with the flow? Or do you really know? God in Christ is like sleet and snow. You can point out all my flaws. Saved by grace, not by laws. Pause for the cause. My soul's washed white. Yours is crimson, and I got Christ. Now it's your turn.
Oh man, that is not a skill that I have by any means. That is, I think, one of the coolest entries that we're gonna have on the podcast in a long time. So I appreciate you starting us off with a little bit of good jams, good vibes off the dome. It's pretty cool, man.
I appreciate you having me out, man. This is a dream come true. It's like it's been 6 to 8 months we've been trying to put it together.
It's been a little bit, but it's super cool. You stayed in touch the entire time. I think a lot of people end up falling off and end up not wanting, or it's not a priority, I think, at the end of the day. And you continue to push forward, and I really appreciate it. I really do.
Well, people are, I see you got the medals up on the mirror over there.
Yeah.
And I say this all the time, and I mean it. People are my Medal Monday. So they call me the running servant. So I look to make other people a priority more so than myself. Not that I'm not a priority, but I look and I live to make other people a priority. So if me being on your show was helpful, I wanted to make that a priority. That's why I kept staying in touch, and I kept saying, hey, when I'm on this side, because I was on the East Coast for the longest, people had me go over there, and I'm like, trying to fly back to Vegas and stuff was kind of expensive. And I was like, soon as I get a chance to get out on the West Coast, I can always finagle something to stop by. That's why I reached out to you at the last minute. Because I'm like, my flight got a layover. I'm like, I could take that layover. It ain't going to cost nothing extra. I thank God for the Road Runners Club of America. They had me speak out at their conference out there on, I was in Orange County.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Orange County, Snooty Rudyville for real.
That's what they say.
Yeah, man. Even the dirt look expensive. But it was nice. So they had me out there on their dime. And even then, I didn't, I wasn't trying to fly first class, all that stuff. And I told them, I said, look, Spirit and Frontier and the Legion is good enough for me. And so that's what I did. I think my round trip flight was about $160-something. They reimbursed me. I stopped by. Here I am now. So it's a blessing for everybody involved.
I would agree with that. What are you doing on the West Coast or the East Coast?
The East Coast, I was doing the same thing. I was doing my speaking engagements and also my book signings for my book, Medal Monday. My quest to run 50 marathons in 50 states in 50 weeks, 5 years after surviving a workplace shooting where I was shot several times. And I tell you, it's been 8 years ago. When I tell people it's been 8 years, they kind of think about and say, that's a little bit long ago. But when you go through something that I've gone through, 8 years don't even seem like 8 years to me. I really just started sleeping on a regular basis last March, mid-March. Before that, I had like 7.25 years of just sleep deprivation, hallucinations, night terrors, PTSD, anxiety, hypervigilance, feeling like I'm going to die any moment. It was just crazy. So it was something that I described to people like being thrown out of an airplane without a parachute and people telling you, swim. It's like, that's not going to help. I don't even know what I'm going through. So I had to fight to get my health and my help from the company I worked for and stuff, and it was just ridiculous. I had to have surgery to remove a bullet. Still got a bullet in my gluteus maximus. You know, I remember somebody saying one time I got off the phone with them, and they were professional. They were being professional while they were on the phone with me. But as I was getting off the phone, I could hear them laughing, saying, "He got shot in the ass." and I felt some kind of way, like, this ain't no joke. But at the same time, I had to say, that was kind of funny.
Being able to laugh at it is a big deal, right? Being able to understand it through humor is finding that silver lining does help the mental health a little bit. Yeah. Even though I would assume at the very beginning of that, it's not easy.
Oh, man, it wasn't easy at all because, I mean, for the first 10 days, I didn't sleep at all. I couldn't close my eyes just to, like, do that because I just seen the image of the guy standing over me, me running, him shooting, me running, him shooting. So it was like I didn't want to go to sleep at all. And I remember when I first started hallucinating, that was something else. And I'm like, I ain't even on no drugs or nothing. So, you know, I'm sitting up here hallucinating. What's going on?
Can you tell me a little bit more about that day? I know I read in the article it's still a little bit of a hard subject, but what is that event like? Like, you're going to work one day and then all of a sudden catastrophe happens. How does that play out?
Man, I can only tell you the part that I remember or recall. I could tell you what people said, that the detective that came up to the hospital to interview me said that people said. But all in all, it was like I'm doing my job. I was in retail management, big box retailer, and it was me and another, the operation manager in the building. We were the two supervisors in the building. Everybody else was, you know, hourly employees. Even though I was an hourly employee, I still, you know,
a leadership role.
And I heard him call out over the loudspeaker that he needed all male associates to a particular part of the building. And so I'm like, you know, what's going on? And you could hear the urgency in his voice. So, like, what's going on? I'm on the other side of the building. So by the time I get over there, I come and all I see is a bunch of scuffling, wrestling. Don't really understand what's going on, but I'm like, something real serious is happening. So as I approach, I hear this one guy tell this other guy to get the tool and put in work. Right then and there, I was like, this is not going to be good. Yep. So I run over, and people still trying to wrestle with this other guy, and he must have been on some drugs or something because he's about your size, but he was like, man, handling everybody. And they was having, I mean, it was probably about 10 to 15 men out there. We talking about grown men.
God.
And so he's like manhandling everybody. And I'm thinking to myself, this dude got to be on drugs or something. Yeah. And so I notice he's trying to get something out of his pocket, and the security guy is like holding his hand back, and he's steady trying to get, but he's got his left hand, and I mean, he's just manhandling people, man. I'm like, yeah, this dude owns something. And so I'm trying to pull people off, tell people to, you know, get to safety. And, there's people outside watching, other employees, customers, and so I'm like, get in, get to safety.
What inside? Like, how do you know that that's the words to say in that moment that you're like, you tell people other people to leave? Why?
Well, one, I grew up in Akron, Ohio, so shout out to LeBron, right? There's a lot of people famous from Akron, Ohio.
Did not know that.
Yeah, a whole lot of famous people, not just LeBron, but we got a lot of famous singers from there. Rumor has it there may have been a president that came from there, but we had at least 2 presidents from Ohio.
Okay.
But I grew up in West Side Akron, Ohio, which is not like the best side to grow up in. It's like saying you grew up in Compton or somewhere. And so when we were growing up, we seen shootouts and people getting killed, murdered, finding, I'm 8, 9, 10 years old. You find dead bodies in the alley and stuff like that.
Rough.
So
it's not new to you.
Yeah, it wasn't new to me. So when I heard the guy say, get the tool and put in work, I've heard that phrase before, especially being in the hip hop industry that I used to be in for 18 years, promoting various artists. I've been around the scene, the streets, the jargon, and ain't always lived, right my life as well. So, like everybody else growing up, teenagers trying to fit in, trying to find your identity, I've been around the block. So when I heard that, I'm like, this is not going to be good. So that's why I was telling people to get in. And so I'm steady trying to pull people off of the pile, and people are telling me, I ain't got, like people do today. I ain't got to listen to you. Why I need to listen to you? It's like, I ain't got time to argue. They going to stand there. They going to stand there. So I'm trying to get some other people that's actually that's trying to subdue this one guy into the building. And next thing you know, this guy come back, just started unloading. People started running at that point.
Yeah, now they were listening.
Yeah, they was listening. It wasn't to me. They was listening to that pop, 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 pop.
Yeah.
So dude had I think they said it was a 22 or a 32 caliber, but it was interesting because I was watching Forensic Files recently. I just watch Forensic Files and those criminal shows like that. And I don't watch too much TV, but when I watch TV, when I'm traveling, that's what I watch.
Did you watch it before the shooting, or is this like a new thing? No,
this is something afterwards. People were like, why do you watch that stuff after what you went through? And I'm like, I don't know. But
it's a way to deal with it.
Yeah, it's a way to deal with it. But I actually seen in one of the reenactments, I actually seen the weapon. It was a 22 rifle that a guy had. It's short. It's not long. It's not like you're doing like this or anything. You can hold it in one hand. And I remember, where was I? I was doing a book signing somewhere. Oh man, I can't remember. It's like within the last month or two. So I'm doing a book signing. I'm in the hotel. I'm watching this, and I'm like, that's it. That's the gun that the dude was holding. Because it bothered me for the longest, because I was like, I ain't never seen this weapon before. And when I seen it on the forensic file, I was like, that's it. That's it. So I text one of my friends. I'm like, I've seen the gun that shot me. Did it
give you some sort of closure? Was that like the...
It helped me add another piece to the puzzle, because it bothered me for years. It bothered me because I couldn't identify the weapon itself. And I remember telling the officer that it looked like it was homemade, like it was 3D printed or something. But that's what a 22 rifle looks like. And then it was nighttime, and then it was raining. The lights were kind of low, And
it's hard to make it out.
It was hard to make it out, but I knew if I ever seen it again, I knew I could recognize it.
That's wild.
So that just added another piece to the puzzle for me to make, for it to make sense for me.
Yeah.
There's really no way to process PTSD in a formula that says A, B, C, and D, and you're going to be okay. It's really, I had to learn how to process what I went through. Every person that deals with PTSD deals with it differently. There's different PTSD. And so I'm sitting up here getting people in. And so people's scattering at this point, and the security guy has the hand of the guy wrestling, and the guy is just steady manhandling him. So I grab both of them, and I kind of like pick them up and slam them to the ground.
Damn.
That's
a strong boy.
Yeah, try to get control of them.
You got some adrenaline running through you, which kind of helps.
Yeah,
but
the adrenaline helped.
Anything that you can do
the
to
security guy. So both of the guys about your height. The guy that seemed to be manhandling everybody, he was my size, but your height.
It's a big boy.
He wasn't no small dude. And I remember my boss telling me later, man, he was like, you picked them dudes up and slammed them. He was like, wow. He was like, I thought to myself, I wouldn't want to get in a fight with him. And but it was flight or fight at that moment,
yeah.
right? And I'm a peacemaker. But at that point in time, it was life or death. And I play that back in my head all the time because I'm like, should I have just snapped his neck? At that moment. And I don't know. I wrestle back and forth with myself at that moment because, I know I could have just taken him out. But here I am just trying to get the other guy free to get him to safety. So somehow, after I slam them, I get the other guy and I pull him to the point where I got him by the neck with this hand, and I take the hand that the security guy wrestling him with to keep him from going in his pocket. And so I'm pulling him up to where he has to let the other guy go now. So the security guy runs to safety, and I'm standing there like this, got the guy around the neck this way, and I'm wrestling with his hand this way. But because now I'm picking him up off the ground, he's standing up next to me, in front of me actually. And the other guy is about 6 feet, maybe like where you are, 6 feet away, and he's pointing a gun. And the guy that I'm holding tells him to shoot me. And I'm purposely holding the guy in front of me. Yeah. And I'm like thinking to myself, where is he going to shoot? But he shoots and he hits me right here in the upper left part of my torso.
Rough.
Takes a chunk of skin out. The bullet ricochets off my rib. And at that point in time when he shot me, the other guy rears back like this to knock me in the head with his head, to try to buck me off of him. But I hold him to the point where we both fall. Now he's on top of me.
Yeah.
When he told the guy to shoot me, I was like, this ain't their first rodeo. I'm like, these dudes are killers. And so I'm sitting there, got the guy, well, not sitting there, I'm laying there now on my back. I got the guy on top of me and I'm still holding him like this. So the guy walks up and he says, let my nigga go. Let my nigga go. And I say, all right, I let him go. The guy gets up. I'm like, look here, man, y'all, everything's over. Y'all going about your business. Everything's over. I said, the police is coming. You can hear them in the background. excuse me, these guys had no care in the world about the police. And so the guy stands up and he tells him, kill him. And I'm sitting there, well, laying there, my hands up like this. And the guy walks up over me now. And he says, next time I tell you to let my nigga go, I bet you let him go. And he went to pull the trigger, and it's like everything just slowed down. Like, you know, like you see in the movies and stuff. And everything just slows down. And it must have been maybe 2-3 seconds at the most, but it seemed like it was a whole minute. And I remember saying to myself, Lord, is this what it's like before somebody murder you? And I had peace. Like, I knew I was ready to die, you know, because I knew what the Lord had did in my life. And, you know, when I was out in the streets doing what I did, gang banging, drug dealing, whoremongering, you know, being that doughboy back in the day, you know, all the women want a doughboy. So I'd be a doughboy, you know, because you get the money, you know, like Scarface say, get the money, get the power, get the women.
Yep. That's the mentality.
Yeah, so that was the mentality, you know, 1989, you know, 92, going on up in there. So through the 90s, 96, when the Lord saved me, you know, it changed my whole life. So I was good to go as far as if I was to die. But I had peace. And
it's a powerful feeling.
Yeah, it is.
It's a powerful feeling.
To be at the point where somebody's standing over you and you know they're about to murder you, but you just got peace. I just had peace. And I thought about my kids. I got 5 kids, 2 daughters, 3 sons. And I said to myself, I wonder who's going to tell my kids and how they're going to take it. Wonder if they'll be okay. That's all I was concerned about. That's all I was concerned about was my kids. I'm not married, or else I would have been concerned about my wife too, but I was just concerned about my kids. Nothing else mattered at that time. You know, not being a, what they call them these days, high-valued man. You know, not looking for a high-value woman, not driving a Mercedes, not living in a big house, not wearing Gucci. I wasn't worried about my 401k. I wasn't worried about my stock option portfolios. I wasn't worried about any of that. I was just like, I wonder if my kid's going to be okay. Who's going to tell them? And at this moment, I look at the trigger and his finger, and he's pulling it back. And it's like right at the right time. You know, people say dodge bullets. I dodged the bullet, literally. And when he went to pull it back, the Spirit of God told me to roll over. And I rolled. And he shot, and it hit right behind me. And the Spirit of God said, get up and run. And I got up and I ran, and then he shot 4 more times, and they all hit me. Which was amazing. I can say amazing now because I've learned so much about it, because of the caliber that he had. Had I been closer to him, he would have hit me center mass and in my chest, and of course the bullets would have did damage.
Yeah.
Had I been further away from those 4 shots, then the casing would have had a chance to peel, impact, and spread throughout my body. But I was exactly at the right distance to where the casing didn't peel, the bullet didn't impact and spread. They all just went inside of me.
That's wild.
And the metal was so hot that I felt it going in my body, but it was so hot that it cauterized the entry point. I had very little blood loss.
That's amazing.
And when the medics came, we were inside the building, and all the employees at that time, everybody's up, in the one area. Our customers up in the one area. Police is there. The medics are there. The fire trucks are there. Everybody's there.
Do you realize you've been shot? Do you realize that this is like after the first one, you know what's happening, and after the next 4, you're still very
I felt
conscious.
them all going to my body.
Whew.
I felt the heat.
Ooh.
I felt the burning.
What does that feel like?
It feels as though somebody has taken a metal prong that's hot on the tip and just stuck it in your body. So you feel this the sensation first, and then the heat you can just feel is like it's just you feel the heat of the metal in your body. I felt it even when the ambulance and the paramedics and the fire people came and we were up front. They was like, "Take off your clothes." And I'm sitting up there like all these people looking at me. And I'm like, I don't know if y'all want me to take off my clothes because these women going to get happy up in here. So I'm trying to joke, make light of it. I'm like, I really don't want to take off all my clothes in front of people. They're like, "You've been shot. We need to find out where you've been shot at."
Yeah.
And so somebody at that point in time said, "Well, take him out and put him in an ambulance." So I go out, get in an ambulance. There's like 6 other paramedics, firefighters get in an ambulance with me and another guy that got shot. He ended up getting shot. I think in the leg or something. I'm not sure. But when I took my clothes off and stuff, they were looking and they were saying, "We don't see any entry wounds. We don't see any entry wounds. Are you sure you got shot?" I said, "I know I got shot. I feel the metal burning inside of me. I could still feel it from the time he shot me to the time they were looking. I could still feel the heat."
It's heat, not pain.
Yeah, it's heat, not pain.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
Okay, continue.
And so,
That's weird.
So one of the firefighters, EMS people, he finds an entry wound. He said, "I found an entry wound, and so they're going to take me to the hospital." But the guy was like, "Yeah, we're going to take you anyway because your blood pressure is like 268 over 200. So my body was starting to shut down, and my mind was going first. It was shutting down a part of your brain that produces serotonin. That's the
Feel good.
The feel good. Where you run, you get your runner's high and all that stuff. That's the feel good part. So my brain was starting to shut down to protect my body, to protect itself. And but so I go to the hospital and they look at everything, I think they did an MRI or something, whatever they did. And they was like, "Yeah, we're going to have to send you to a specialist." Good thing there's nothing that is dangerous. Nothing's near your spine. Excuse me. Nothing's near your spine. Nothing is life-threatening. I was like, praise God. So I'm in the room and they telling me this. So nurse comes back and I had this irritation on my inner thigh, left side, my groin area. And I was telling him, I said, something is bothering me down there. And so they sent me back to do I guess it was an x-ray or something. And when they bring me back into the room, I'm waiting on the x-ray to come, and it's just getting worse. And I'm like, I said, something is irritating me a lot down there. And so the nurse, he takes a look down there, and he literally, the bullet fragment had worked its way to the surface to where it was sticking out. He literally took his fingers and just pulled it out. That bullet missed my femoral artery by a centimeter.
It's amazing.
It would be about 5 years later, I had to get a, what are those things? Not the sonograms, or, you know, where they do the imaging of the baby in the womb.
Yeah, a sonogram.
Is this a
right?
sonogram? Or
Am I saying that?
yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Pretty sure. Yeah, pretty
But
sure.
whatever they do with the baby. So I had to go to a vein specialist because I was having problems with my blood circulating and stuff, and I was swelling up. And so he did my legs, looked at all the veins, and he was teaching a nurse, I guess one of his nurses, he was telling her how to do it and what the veins looked like. He was, and so when he was doing that part of it, he actually did my inner left thigh, and I got to see the femoral artery, and I got to see the scarring from the bullet.
That's cool.
Next to the femoral artery.
That's cool.
And that was like a surreal moment for me. That was like, you really did get shot.
In case you were wondering before,
Yeah.
this is real. This is real.
It was real, because sad to say, the company I worked for started a smear campaign against me, saying that I made up getting shot, that I made all this up.
Why?
I have no idea. And they did.
Can you say who it was, or is that you can't? Or is that not allowed? Or would you rather not?
Well, one, I'd rather not, because I don't want to. I'm not trying to get him any kind of press or glory from the situation.
That's fair.
I want to help people that may have been in that situation like I've been in, or that may find themselves in that situation. And I want to encourage people to make decisions for themselves. But when I say it's like a Hollywood movie, it's like I walked into something that I had no idea was happening. Personally, with me, I feel like it's just something in me that says that there was this murder for hire plot, and somebody was supposed to be killed, and it didn't happen. And then all of a sudden I'm getting, like the detective, when he came to the hospital, he was like, man, you a hero. The homicide, aggravated robbery detective came, he was like, man, you're a hero. He said, I spoke to several of your coworkers and you saved their lives. 3 of them said that if it wasn't for what you did, they know they would have died. And so I'm thinking that the company I'm working for is going to be like, kudos. Yeah. You know, I'm going to get a badge. I'm going to have the president of the company call me and say thank you and all that stuff. It became a living nightmare.
How shortly after did they start coming out with this defaming or dismissing the allegation?
Well, I would find out that they were doing it immediately. They were doing it immediately.
Damn.
I wouldn't find out till later the extent of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, they did it immediately.
Wow.
Interject themselves into my child custody with my daughter, my youngest daughter.
How can they do that?
Had her mom telling her stuff, feeding her stuff, literally had told her that she needed to ask the judge and the family court with my child support and visitation to have me brought up on charges of like fraud against the federal government for disability, saying that I wasn't disabled. They gave her like the company's lawyers gave her lawyer the video of the shooting that I never got. Gave her a video of the shooting to prove that I hadn't been shot. So evidently it was doctored or altered or something. It was just ridiculous. And the first filing that she did, the clerk out in it's out in Sugarland, Texas, Fort Bend County. The clerk wouldn't even take the first filing that they were filing because it was so outrageous. So her attorney comes back and they file something else. But I was fighting that, and I had to fight to get medical help to have the surgery removed, the bullet to remove for the surgery.
Yeah.
I had to fight for my mental health, to see a psychiatrist, a psychologist. I had to fight for everything like that.
Damn. To go from a traumatic event to almost, and maybe this is like you almost expect some help, like, oh shit, like this happened. People step in, they're gonna like provide that assistance. It's not your fault. It's not anybody's fault. It's just something that happened. All right, well, let's fix what happened. And then that's not at all how it's taken.
That's not at all how it was taken. I mean,
corporations kind of make me sick sometimes. I assume it's a corporation, but like I don't understand how you could do that to people for the benefit of like your bottom line.
Yeah.
If that like you don't want that flag, so it's just like let's try to.
I mean,
like,
for me, it's not. I try to reconcile that. Like, is this really about the bottom line?
Is it,
or what is it about? Because what does that have to do with your bottom line? Going after me personally with my child support and visitation, and arming my ex-wife with lies to try to have a judge have federal charges brought up against me. I'm on disability because I'm unemployable. I suffer from PTSD. I'm uninsurable. I didn't do this to myself. And that's what they act like. They act like I did it to myself. Even to the point that they claimed that I threatened to go in and shoot up the place. And I was like, wow.
and did you ever claim that?
No.
So like,
And they knew I didn't. And so I was like, you know what? I told the people that was investigating it, I said, listen to the call. Because when you call in to the corporate office, because I was out on, what's that, FMLA?
what's up?
The Family Emergency Leave Act or something like that.
Okay.
Which at first, that wasn't, they was threatening my job. I got to come back to work or you're going to lose your job for no show, no call, no show, whatever.
Yeah.
So anyway, I ended up getting on FMLA. So when you're on FMLA, you have to, work with them, get them the information they need, talk to them and things of that nature. So call in to the corporate office to speak to a person that asked me to call them, and how it gets to, I call to threaten to come in and shoot up the place if I didn't get help, was just another slanderous attack. And I'm sitting there like, listen to the call. I said, because when you call in, they record every call. I said, listen to the call.
Yeah.
And so the investigators, after they pretty much interviewed me and the insurance people interviewed me and everything, they said, we already heard the call. Mr. Burros, we know you didn't say that. But because of what I went through, they were trying to figure out what state of mind I was in. But these people slandered me to where when I went to my doctor appointments, they wouldn't even call me in the back. The doctor came out in the lobby and did my appointment in front of everybody, which violates HIPAA.
Yeah, it does.
But this is what was being done because of this company. So I'm like, why would somebody go all out like this for a bottom line? There's something more here. I never found out, probably never will find out.
What do you think?
I think that there was just in my spirit, I think somebody had hired somebody to murder somebody for some reason or another. I have no idea. And it got foiled because I intervened. And the reason I think that is because not only did these guys shoot me there, but over the next couple of years, they tried to kill me 3 times. And
same people.
The same people. And the Houston Police Department Organized Crime Unit knows who did it, who shot me, but didn't prosecute them.
Why?
I have no idea. It's organized crime. My thing is they must have cut a deal with them about something else. Who knows?
Give them a name, give them a something.
But all I know is that the detective that was investigating it, that I talked to with the organized crime unit, just kept bragging how he was meeting with the bigwigs from my company, and this was going to make his career. And was getting mad at me because I wanted these guys held accountable. And they never would. It took me a couple of years just to find out where my case went. Nobody ever followed up with me after that night. After the on-call detective interviewed me, nobody ever followed up with me. So the detective was like, yeah, we didn't have anybody to testify against him, so we had to let him go. First of all, you got video. Second of all, y'all never, ever followed up with me. And so the guy was like, so you willing to testify against him? I'm like, yes. And so the DA, the Houston Police Department, the Organized Crime Unit, even after that, these guys found out where I lived. How, I don't know. I'm thinking through HPD, Houston Police Department. Found out where I lived. Had committed another crime where they shot somebody. They took the guy's bloody wallet, a bloody shirt, a bloody bandana, and they hung it outside my condo on my stoop. So you walk out the door, there's a little stoop there. You got stairs that go to the one above me, and there's a fence there. They hung the bandana and the shirt, the bloody bandana and shirt on the actual fence, and laid the guy's wallet out open. And so I called the police about it. Eventually, they come to pick the stuff up. I leave it there. They come and pick it up. The detective from that called me, want to interview me. I'm talking to him and stuff. And I was like, he's telling me what happened. And I was like, yeah. I said, it sounded like the guys that shot me. And he's like, you were in the shooting? And when I told him, he knew about what I was talking about. And I was like, yeah. And he said, do me a favor. Can you describe these guys? And I described them. He said, that's airy. He said, you're describing my suspects, that the customers at this AT&T store described. And so he was like, do you mind doing a photo lineup? I said, no problem. Well, never had the photo lineup. Reached out to the guy a couple of times. Never heard back from him. Reached out to the detective about my case. He's getting mad at me. And I'm like, these are the same guys. Then I find out, from the detective, another detective, that the guy that shot me murdered a store manager at a store, it's called a Viet Ho. It's at Beach Nut in the Beltway. Murdered the store manager at that store. It's like a mile or two down the street from where I worked. And because he was like, the guy that you describe is the guy from this that murdered. And I'm like, they're just letting these guys go around shooting and killing people. They're doing somebody's dirty work. So that's why I felt like it was.
But I wonder what dirty work they could be doing. Like what is the store manager? What is part of the bigger plan? Like,
yeah, I have no idea.
You know,
but we know. I know personally, and everybody in Houston know that there were pockets of groups of officers that were rogue. There was a big case that hit international news where these officers broke into this husband and wife's home or whatever, claiming that they were drug dealers and all this other stuff, criminal activity, and it turned out not to be. The officers get charged in it because it got exposed that they were themselves doing the dirt.
Damn.
And so evidently these people didn't want to be part of what they were doing, so they were using intimidation. I called the detective that was on my case and say, how did these guys find out where I live? You know, and he like, I don't know how they found out where you live and this and that. So one day I'm out running, jogging, you know, relieving some stress, and I see this guy on the bridge I'm coming up to. It's on a bayou. The bayou trails are like every mile there's a street with a bridge. So I see this guy up there, and I'm coming up towards it, and he's just sitting up there looking. And then he sees me, he gets in his car, and he drives off. I'm like, that's strange, you know. And I'm thinking maybe it's just my hypervigilance from the PTSD. You know, everything is at me now.
Yeah.
And so I run past that street. I come up to another street, and the Holy Spirit of God tells me someone's going to try to shoot you. When you hear the gunshot, play dead. And so I'm running, and I'm thinking to myself, Aaron, you got to stop this. You know, I'm experiencing sleep deprivation. I'm experiencing all kind of stuff. I'm like, it's
just the trauma.
Yeah, it's just the trauma. You're making this stuff up now at this point. And I'm starting to believe what people have been saying, that I made stuff up about being shot. I'm like, because I haven't slept. I'm like, it's hard for me. There were points in time where I could not differentiate between reality and fantasy. I didn't know what the hallucinations, they were so real. And so I'm running, and out of the corner of my eye, I see this car, and this guy is standing there, and it's behind one of these big electrical boxes, silver boxes that be in the neighborhoods. And so when I'm crossing the street, next thing I know, I hear a gunshot. I fall down and play dead. But the way I fall down and play dead, my eyes are still open so I can see the guy. I seen his car, seen him, what he had on, even his hat. So he's running up to me with the gun because he wants to make sure I'm dead. I'm sure of it. However, there's houses on both sides, and it's the back of the houses, so people start looking out their windows. Hey, what's going on? You know, so now the guy is being noticed, so he runs off, hops in his car, and speeds off. I'm laying there because I've been shot before, and now I'm sitting there. I'm afraid to move. This guy comes over. He's like, have you been shot? I said, I don't know. And I said, I've been shot before and I have PTSD and I'm just afraid to deal with this at this point. Yeah. He's like, just lay there. My wife's a nurse. She's on her way out the house. So all these people come. She checks me out and stuff. They call the police. The sheriffs come out. Harris County Fort Bend. Fort Bend comes out. Ambulance come. They check me out and everything. I haven't been shot. I didn't feel any metal inside of me. I'm just traumatized even more. And so I described the car, described the guy, described what he was wearing, described the hat, all this stuff. Well, 2 weeks later, I'm at my mom's house and I'm watching the news. And they say that this guy gets killed out in near Cinco Ranch in Katy, Texas. And that he crawls into this Buffalo Wild Wings. He's been shot and he's asking for help and he dies there on the floor. Well, while they're doing a news story, they don't show him, but they show his car. And I'm like, I know that car. They show his hat on the ground next to the car. Bingo. That's the guy that tried to kill me. Called a detective. I say, the guy that shot at me has been killed out in Katy, and I tell him the story and everything. He was like, let me check on this. I'll call you back. And so I never hear back from him. To this day, I hadn't heard back from him. A couple of weeks later, I'm watching the news, and they do a follow-up to the story. And they say that it was determined that this was a drug deal going bad. And if anybody has any knowledge of anything, please give Crime Stopper a call. Really? I identified the car, identified the cap. And I said, I want to see the picture of the guy because I gave a description to the officers when he tried to shoot me. So now they done murdered this guy because he didn't kill me. And then the very last time they tried to kill me, I was coming out of my unit where I lived, and this guy was crawling like in front of the cars because I was back then, and he was going to run up on me to kill me. However, there was another person going to his car, and they ran into each other. And so the guy was like, what's up, man? What's going on? And the guy stood up. He was like, oh, I'm just looking for. And I peeped it out. I said, nah, something not right. I didn't see anybody, because I'm like, when I go out to my cars, I'm looking. Yeah. And so I'm like, this guy had to be, coming up low. So he keeps walking towards me. And he was like, excuse me. And he was like, I'm looking for it. And then he would drop his voice. And I'd be like, I can't hear you. And he said, oh, I'm sorry. And he'll walk up some more. And he said, I'm here. I'm trying to pick my girlfriend up. And then he'll drop his voice again. And I say, I keep telling you, I can't hear you. Speak up. And so he say, oh, I'm sorry. And he'll come up closer to me. So he got to where he was like 2 cars away. He was at the front end of the passenger side of the second car, 2 cars away from me. At that point in time, I reach in my car like this in my truck, like I got a gun. I don't have a gun. But I ain't going out like no, yeah. what they say, like no punk. Yeah, I'm not going out like that. If we gonna get killed, I'm gonna make sure that, I at least have a fighting chance. Yeah. And so I tell him, I say, that's far enough. Don't come no closer to me. Yeah, man, I'm just trying to find my girlfriend, her place, this and that. And I said, look here, dude, there's a call box up front. Go use it. Call her on her cell phone. This and that. Don't tell me you can't. How I can't help you.
Yeah. It's not 1990. You have
Yeah.
your own phone. It's your girl.
And
Call
I'm
her.
like, dude, don't come closer to me. And he said, all right, I got you. And he did this. He said, we'll get you later. And he backs up because he thinks I got a gun. So he's walking backwards. He goes back and he gets in this truck way down the parking lot. No, he didn't get in the truck. He was acting like he was still trying to get inside the building. And so I got in my truck and I drove by, and it was this big black dude. They both were black. One of them was light skinned. Looked like he just got out of the pen out from Cali. I mean, this dude was cut and he had on like one of those looked like one of those I don't know what you call those jumpsuits, not Velcro or anything. It was fabric like. But I mean, this dude it looked like he'd been in the yard pumping iron.
Yeah.
And so I'm driving by, and the guy that's in the truck just look at me, and I look at him. I can ID all these people. So I leave. I'm about to go to the police station. So I was like, I'm going to just go to Starbucks. So I drive over to Starbucks, and I'm going there. I call the police to file a report. Well, there's a police officer that's in there that normally frequents that Starbucks. So he notices that I'm not doing well. So he's like, he asked me, are you okay? I said, no. I said, they tried to kill me again. He knew about the case and everything. He was all upset because he's like, what are they doing? What is the DA doing? What is it? And I tell him they're not doing anything. And so he's like, let me finish with this, taking this lady's statement, and I'm going to be with you. So he finishes taking the lady's statement. He comes over where I'm sitting, takes his computer, and he opens it up, and he pulls up my name or whatever. He's looking at it, he's just reading. And he closes it and walks out. Doesn't look at me, doesn't say a word, and didn't come back to that Starbucks like he would come every day. Wouldn't talk to me when I did see him. And I was like, wow, I just told you that these guys tried to kill me again, and I was about to call the police so I could file a report. You say you're going to take it, but then you just walk out.
So interesting.
You just walk out. And then I had a friend of mine that was very concerned about me. He has a friend that works for the Houston Police Department, high-ranking officer, and he asked him to check on my case and everything. So my friend calls me and he says, man, are you doing okay? I tell him no. He said, I have a friend that works for HPD. I asked him to look into your case. And he says your case can no longer be accessed by just anybody. He said it takes the upper brass to be able to access your case. He's like, what's going on? And I told him, I said, these guys been trying to kill me. At that point in time, I was like, I got to trust in the sovereignty of God, and I got to use wisdom. So at that point in time, I just started talking to anybody that would listen. Literally. People would do blogs about my story. Then I started getting people that, newspaper reporters that called me. I had people with the Houston Chronicle that I did interviews with. The story got killed. They would call back and say the editors won't run this story. And I just kept talking and talking and talking. And I told people, if I died from circumstances, suspicious circumstances, if I got killed and nobody knows what happened, it's the company, it's the criminals, and it's the cops that killed me. because whatever they're doing, I know that it's being done because of the company. The police is doing what they're doing because of the company and the influence and the money they have globally. And this detective, like, this is a career maker for me. You're jeopardizing my career. How am I jeopardizing your career? And it is my life.
I wonder, it doesn't sound like, who are they affiliated with? And who are you affiliated with in the past? Is like my question. Like, you have a past. Is that linked? Or is it just like, man, this guy happened to be involved in this unfortunate circumstance where maybe somebody should have died on the property so that there's an insurance, there's so that the company gets some sort of benefit out of it, whatever that benefit is.
Yeah.
There has to be a benefit, right? So then because we definitely know that hired guns are a real thing. We definitely know, like, I'm from the Valley, like Rio Grande Valley down south. So I don't know if you were looking at the Hidalgo County Sheriff's Department when they got on national news for smuggling immigrants and for drugs across the border for the cartel. Like, that was my hometown. So, like, I know that this is real stuff.
Yes.
I know this is happening. And I think it's no news to me that it would be happening in Houston too, because Houston's such a large system of just madness. So there's the opportunity lies in that area.
Yeah, it's definitely some corruption, but I could tell you this. Anything from my past, definitely not. Because if it was from my past, then it would be like, yeah, you're accountable. You bring this up. You were this, you were that. It's none of that.
Yeah.
Because when the Lord saved me, I walked away from all that. I denounced it. People know my character. They know my history. And it's not the past that they were trying to slander me with. It was saying that I threatened to shoot the company up. That I made this up.
That's a good point.
Being shot. How can I make being shot up? I mean, I've had friends from going through my ex-wife. Of course, she poisons other people. So I've heard it when I've gone to church. People have said it. I've heard other family members, other friends say it.
Slander?
Yeah. That I made it up. I'm like, how can I make it up? So I've fooled whatever the MRIs, the ultrasounds, that's what it is, the ultrasounds.
There you go.
I fooled them. I fooled doctors. I've been put on disability, so I fooled to state doctors. And I've been examined by at least several psychologists and psychiatrists, not of my own choosing, but of the company's choosing, that all say the same thing. I'm like, but I done made all this up, boy. You know who the Antichrist is? It would be me, because I got the power to deceive people that are professionals. Yeah. You know what really got me is when I got a call from the company saying, you need to tell them doctors you're ready to come back to work. Really? So you want me to tell the doctors that I had to fight for, that you selected for my care, that I need to come back to work when I'm not the medical professional? I'm not the surgeon that specializes in bullet wounds. I'm not the psychiatrist. I'm not the psychologist. I'm not the state doctors. But if you tell them you want to go back to work, they'll listen to you. Get off my phone. I'm like, these people just didn't stop. They didn't stop.
And that's got to be a hell of a fight just internally, day to day, to deal with that. And outside of the external, like, and I guess their internal, like, as well as like the PTSD and managing this, like, how do you manage your new lifestyle? Like, how do you operate in the world? But then also all of these people that are just like also saying, no, like, this didn't actually happen. You're making all this up. And it's just like,
Yeah.
how much louder can I yell? Or like,
And the thing is that I still look to bring some accountability, because for over 5 years straight, I didn't see my youngest daughter from the time she was in high school, 13 to 18. And then our relationship still messed up behind what her mom did. Her mom doesn't want to take accountability. You know, relationships with my other kids were strained. My sons and their moms afraid to be around me because people were trying to kill me. You know, this is serious.
Yeah.
Whoever did whatever, I'm like, this is serious. This is some Hollywood type. What happened? What did I walk myself into? I just went to work. I didn't ask for this. And then I remember when my attorney for my child support visitation contacted me, and it was like, you're not going to believe this. I said, there's nothing you can tell me that I won't believe right now. Because, so I was telling people what they were doing to me, and even the doctors that they chose to examine me was like, you need to quit playing games. Until I'm like, okay, you think I'm lying. I said, you're going to find out. Why would a company, such a large corporation, do this to you? So now, you know, my psychiatrist was thinking that, you know, something wrong with you. You off a little bit. I'm like, So, of course, when their feet was put to the fire, they got to see it firsthand, and people was like, I cannot believe this.
What do you mean?
That when the company's feet were put to the fire legally with the government, like being put on disability, because that's a whole nother set of criteria, that you have state doctors involved now.
Yeah.
You know, because they were saying that I chose all my doctors that I seen. So they wanted me to see another doctor. That's how they kept having me see doctor after doctor after doctor. They kept saying, well, he chose that doctor. I'm like, I didn't choose them. Ask the doctor. So when they would ask the doctors, and the company was saying, no, he chose you. And the doctors were like, no, y'all hired us to examine him. And they were saying, no, they got to see firsthand that they're willing to lie. And I'd be like, I told y'all. So when their feet got put to the fire, they doubled down on their lie. So the people they were lying to got to see it, because now they're lying to a new set of people. So they don't care about you anymore, because you won't agree with them, what they want to do to me. Even the first doctor with the workers' compensation thing, I had to go see at a doctor at Concentra. That's the doctor I had to go see. He was like, look here, they pay the bills. This is what they want me to do. They want me to send you back to work. They wanted that. He said, but I'm going to put it to where all you can do is sit in a room. I told them, I'm not going back there. They forced me to go back one time, and it messed me up. I had to have my boss lock me in the vault security room where the computers are, because I couldn't handle just walking in that building. I'm not going back there. well, they going to fire you. Then they going to have to fire me because I'm not going back there.
Yeah.
And so he was like, well, I'm just doing what they want me to do. And I said, well, you do what you need to do. I said, but if that's what you're going to do, I'm going to report you because this isn't right. And so it was just one thing after the other.
It's nonstop. It's just
it was
one
nonstop
thing after another.
It was nonstop that they just went after me as if I smacked somebody's mama. You know, you talk about dads all you want. Don't talk about my mama. You know, like I played Dirty Dozens with your mama. It's like, why? And then
it's a good question. Why?
Yeah, when my attorney, my family attorney, sent me the information about what they tried to file, I was like, he sent it to other people because he was like, Aaron is telling everybody the truth. It didn't look like it. It didn't come across as it because you can't phantom in your mind why a Fortune 500 company that's making billions of dollars a year globally would care about my little old life to destroy it the way that it's been destroyed. But they haven't, and to this day, I don't know why.
I hope that you find out why one day. I don't know that you ever will, but
only with some accountability because it's clear that they paid people off in Houston. It's clear that they've paid the city of Houston off, the police off. It's evident.
I'd just like to know, I have a burning desire to know why of things. Why are you interested in doing X, Y, Z, especially like Boeing's right now has the second whistleblower has just been murdered or found dead. And so I wonder why, how does this fit into your bigger plan? Because I understand that these people have bigger, like in what they would perceive as bigger plans, as better plans. Okay, cool.
But what am I going to cost you?
Exactly. That's my point. Like, how does that fit into this bigger plan? Why does that make sense at all?
Well, I guess if me wanting to have the people prosecuted, the people would then turn on whatever or whoever.
There's a domino effect.
Yeah.
There's a
because
risk.
how do you go
There's
and
a risk.
literally murder somebody and you still out on the streets and they know it's you?
Yeah.
Because I'm describing you to the detective that covered that case, and he's like, yeah, that was what my witness described the person.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. So
I wonder how that.
And to be honest with you, 110%. If I had not started talking and telling people, if I die, it's the company, it's the criminals, and it's the cops. They murdered me. When I started talking and sharing my story, and which is one of the reasons why the book came out. I didn't write the book. The book wrote me. Dr. Lauren Murfield, he started doing blogs on me. And then when I went on my quest to do 50 marathons in 50 states in 50 weeks, trying to raise $50,000 for St. Jude, it was for me to get hope back in humanity. It was for me to start with the helpless among us, and that's children. I was looking for a reason to say, hey, there's got to be some redemptive quality, about humanity. There has to be. Yeah. Because if nobody else, there's me. And I know that I've been redeemed. So I know that there got to be other people. And I know there got to be people that care. And I know that if this is what happened to me, the way that it happened, then this has happened to somebody else. Somebody else hadn't spoken up. I'm speaking up. And I think that's the only reason I'm still alive today.
Because you're still talking about it?
Because I'm still talking about it. I'm still telling people if I die, if I'm murdered, it's the company, it's those criminals, and it's the cops.
And then if you do die, someone's going to have to look into it. And then their ass is on the line.
Yeah. So that cop, when I said that about the guy that died out in Cinco Ranch in Katy, that got killed, and I'm like, I want to see his picture. I described him already. Check with the officers. Never heard back. Never heard back and say, you know what? No, it wasn't the person you described. The person that died was Chinese. The person that was killed was Middle Eastern. It wasn't somebody you described. Somebody told you. Matter of fact, it wasn't even a guy. It was a girl. You know, nothing.
It's wild. So you wanted to be the change that you wanted to see, right? Be the change you want to see. Like be some sort of light in this weird world that we are living in.
Yeah. I mean, I've had friends and people tell me, you know, you'll never work for a corporate company ever again. If that's what it take, I don't need to. I would live under a bridge if that's what it take. And I know these people have paid people to do stuff to me. Friends, family, the police. I know they have.
How do you know that?
Because of my ex-wife. She don't do nothing for free. She ain't. What they did in that situation, and I tell people it's public record. Go to Fort Bend County. Look it up. Yeah. Look my child support stuff up. Look the cases up. See, the public record is the public record. They can't do away with that.
Yeah.
What they were trying to do away with was me. They were trying to discredit me so that the things that I was saying didn't make sense to people, which it didn't at first. Why else would a detective, a veteran detective of homicide, armed robbery, sit there and say, you're a hero? You saved several of your coworkers' lives. 3 of them told me personally that if it wasn't for you, they know they would be dead. And then the company do what it did. I had to fight for everything to get on FMLA. I had to fight to get stuff paid for. I had to fight to get the surgery. I had to fight to get my doctors. I had to fight to get my medicine. I literally had to fight. I remember telling, when they had a call, they called me and they said that they literally called me and they said, you called and you threatened to shoot up the place.
This is the company calling you.
Yeah, they had a company call with my boss, my immediate supervisor, my boss, district people, regional people, and I'm sure somebody, a vice president, must have been on the room. I asked them one question. I said, if y'all believe that, why are y'all talking to me? How come you haven't called the FBI or Homeland Security? You got a building full of people, several hundred people. If you honestly believe that, then how come y'all have not reported me?
And the answer?
My boss said, Aaron, I told them, you're not that type of person. Aaron didn't do this. And I told him, don't call me. Y'all don't call me with this anymore. And got off the phone with him. And then the next day, this is when all the investigation started taking place. And then it's just been one thing after the other until, like I said, I started telling my story.
Yeah. I think it's interesting that's happened. I think that it's an unfortunate thing that it seems to be a story that isn't so common anymore. Like, or isn't so rare anymore. It's becoming more common. Yeah, you have these Boeing guys. You have, I'm sure, there's a lot of skepticism around the Epstein case and his suicide and it not really being that way. And this is another one of those unfortunate stories of somebody that luckily hasn't been murdered, but has that same like unfortunate handling. It's weird. It's happening a lot. And it feels like there's more and more discourse and there's more and more distrust of the government and the people that are supposed to be there to protect you. And it just,
yeah.
I have had a couple different run-ins with the law and I've been nothing but lied to.
Yeah.
And I
have
don't
absolutely no
understand it.
trust in the police.
It's like, I feel like I should, but I have none. It's weird. I've been stopped and profiled and it's like, just stopping to see what, like, I was driving the speed limit. Everything was fine. It's like, oh no, just checking. Okay. Like, thanks. And sent on her way. And it's like, that's not it's keeping me safe. It's not keeping anybody safe.
Yeah.
Like,
I had a situation happen at Starbucks in Houston, off of Westheimer and Kirkwood. It was a very busy Starbucks, but I had a situation happen with some police there. I was waiting to pull into a parking spot, and these two police officers come out, and they began to engage me in a conversation and say that the store manager had complained about me, which was a lie. I knew the store manager, and I asked him afterwards, and he was like, they lied. But they were sitting there literally trying to escalate with me. And after all I had been through, it took everything in me. I had my hands on the wheel, my phone in my hand, and they were giving me two different commands. One of them was telling me I needed to leave. The other one was telling me to stay. At the same time, they both giving me contradictory commands. They literally unstrapped their weapons and put their hands on their weapons. They didn't draw it, but they put their hands on their weapons. And the lady cop says, stop being combative. Stop being combative, to the point that people are looking and moving away. And I'm sitting
something's
there.
Going to happen.
Yeah. So when I'm telling you that these people are some powerful people, this is not conspiracy. I reported this to the police. I reported this to this. I sent an email, a long email, describing the situation with the officer's name and everything to their department, because they were trying to have a community thing with the community to build trust back up. And I sent an email to them, never heard back from them. I reported this to Starbucks. They had somebody come out. There were other witnesses that met that described what I was saying, that verified what I was saying. I was told by Starbucks that they reached out to the police and the police never responded to them. But these people wanted to kill me. I have no doubt about it. And I'm just giving you some tad bits of stuff that happened for, about 5 years of my life from the shooting, from like the following week after the shooting to 5 years of going through these things. So I'm sitting there and she's like, you're not following orders. Why are you being combative? Why are you being combative? And the guy, they both unlatched, both got their hands on their weapons, and I'm sitting there. And had I not, through all that I had been through, I honestly tell you, had I not had the power of God in me, the Holy Spirit and the presence to have peace during that time, self-control, I asked them, which command would you like me to follow? You're telling me to leave. He's telling me to stay. I'm not being combative. I want to comply, but I don't know which command to follow. Please tell me which command to follow. When they realized that they didn't get the rise out of me that they thought, they were going to kill me. I have no doubt about it. They were going to kill me. Afterwards, they say, we just playing.
Oh, get the fuck out of here.
Literally, they tell me they just playing.
Get the fuck out of here. I'm just playing.
So the guy that I was waiting on, he has backed out since. I pull and I park. I get out of my vehicle. I walk over towards them. I say, excuse me, officers. Can I please get your badge numbers and your names? What for? Because of the incident just took place. I would like to have your names and your badge numbers. Well, what's your name? I don't have to provide my name. You have to provide your name. So they didn't want to. And eventually, I tell the male officer, I say, you know what? As men, we need to be examples. I say, you got a female officer with you, and evidently you're the ranking officer. She's following your lead, and what you're doing is wrong. I say, y'all put my life in danger for what? He was like, oh, you just made me walk. I had to park. I normally park there and run in and grab our coffee, but we had to park across the parking lot and walk in. So I just figured I'll pick with you. You put my life at danger because of your coffee, and you figured you would play and pick with me?
That's power. That's what that is. That's what it comes down to.
That's what it comes down to.
It's people that have power that shouldn't have power.
So they give me their names, and, the guy reiterates to me again that he was just playing. I say, I want to show you something. I pull up on my phone a friend, well, I should say an acquaintance. So there's a park that I like running at. Haven't ran it too much lately. It's called Terry Hershey Park. Well, there they have a mountain bike group called the Ant Hills Mountain Bike Trail. It's a group where they ride the bikes and trails and jump, and they got all the stunts and stuff.
Kind of cool.
Well, for me being out there, I met the supervisor of these officers out there. He gave me his number. I had his personal cell phone number. And so I'm showing this officer, you know who this is? And he looks and he says, oh man, you don't need to report this. I said, you know what? I'm going to be praying for y'all. So when I tell you, when I started, and I was so afraid to start talking about this publicly because I was thinking to myself, they're just going to double down. I'm really going to die now. But ever since then, I haven't had any, I would say, any blatant approaches to take my life like they had been doing. And that's why I keep talking, because I want people to know if I die from anything other than a natural cause, it's the company, it's the criminals, and it's the cops. Houston Police Department, Organized Crime Unit.
Keep talking, brother.
And I'm not going to apologize. I'm not going to apologize.
So then why start, what, kind of pivoting a little bit here. Why the book? Why the running?
The running helps with the PTSD. Running has so many benefits, but it definitely helps with mental disorders like the PTSD. If you have extreme hypervigilance, if you have extreme anxiety, because your body produces natural chemicals, the serotonin, the dopamine, it produces things to make you, people always talking about wanting to be happy. Running makes you happy. Now, you got to get in shape and get past the breathing. You know, normally the breathing kicks in. Once you're able to run 30 minutes, your breathing will kick in, right? But then it triggers your brain to produce the self-filling chemicals of, man, I'm happy. And, you know, it's like having a natural high. It really is a natural high.
It is.
You don't have to worry about taking any pills, any drugs, anything like that. And so running helps. And plus the running community is very supportive. And the running community, they don't care what political party you part of. They don't care what your background is. They don't care what your color is. They don't care what your sexual orientation is. They don't care if you're transgender. Is you want to what? You want to run? Come on, let's go. You know,
you want to do this crazy thing that we all do?
Yeah,
it's like, show up, dude.
It's like, you want a safe place? Go find some runners.
That's cool.
You want a non-judgmental place? Go find some runners. And if they're not safe and they're judgmental and they claim to be runners, they're posing as runners. They're not really runners. Because running, people understand running is something that produces in you something that God put in you. And when you have that connection, man, it's like that movie, Chariots of Fire. He says, his sister asked him, why do you run? He says, when I run, I feel the presence of God.
It's good.
And it's peaceful.
It is peaceful. I got into running for a short period of time, but never got into marathons. I tried a marathon. I woke up on a Friday and I was like, there's a marathon on Sunday. Might as well go try it out. And it was the worst decision. I think that full year I'd run like 2 miles total. It was
But you know,
crazy.
that's a norm. There's people, I just came from marathons. I just came from the Boise River Marathon doing a book signing. The OC Marathon doing a book signing. And there are people that just sign up they never run. They sign up for a marathon, they go out and run it, and it's just an experience for them. I know down at the Louisiana Marathon in the state capital of Louisiana, over there where LSU is, the students there, they always party all night long and then wake up the next day if they even go to sleep. And they do the marathon. And it's like a tradition. And it's like, wow. But, you know, I don't drink and I don't promote drinking because I come from a family that had a problem with, well, not had, but have problem with drinking, alcoholism. So I don't promote it. But if you ever want to, like I met these two dudes down there in Louisiana. They do the marathon every year because as they go along the course, there's like full bars outside. You know,
there's no way.
And they taking shots and drinking beer the whole time. And it's like they didn't start off drunk, but when they finished that, man, they feeling good.
Dude, I only got up to like mile 17. I wore some Vivo barefoot shoes, and we were running on concrete. We were running on asphalt.
Yeah,
and so by mile like 10, my feet were in pain, and I was like, no, like it's just, you know, they call this the runner's block, and your body hurts. You just got to keep on pushing. And then mile 12 and 13, it started getting worse and worse, and I was like, I couldn't really run anymore. I was just like walking a little bit. I was like, I got to stop, man. Like I can't finish. The pacer truck had beat me out because I started late because I just showed up that morning.
So you left out of the starting block trying to catch up.
Kind of, yeah. And I did pretty good catching up with people. Yeah. I did all right. And then they were like, do you want to do the half? You know, that you have that separation. You want to do the half? You want to do the full? And I was like, the full can't be that bad. Like, we're doing okay. And oh my, that's a new respect for runners.
If I would have been with you, I'd have been like, look, we're down in single digits. All we got is 9 miles left. Come on.
Oh man, but I got x-rays the next day, stress fractures in both feet, both metatarsals full of fractures. I was like, cool. Like, well, no wonder it hurts so damn much.
You know, I met this lady at the 2019 London Marathon. She was running in honor of her father.
Cool.
And she didn't know it when she started, but before she started, she had a fractured ankle, and she ran that whole marathon with that fractured ankle. She reached out to me later on social media. I can't think of her name right now.
She's better than me.
Yeah, but if she's listening to this, you know, that daughter-daddy connection kept her to go through it. But yeah, there's a lot of people that do that, man. But I tell people, if you're going to train in the trails. If you got trails near you, train running in the trails. And then when you get on concrete and asphalt, man, it's like butter.
Nice.
People are like, are you serious? I'm going to fall. I'm going to do this. I'm like, you know, you're going to fall one time and you're going to be like, you know what? Let me pay attention. Because trail running, it takes 4 times the amount of energy than road running. And it actually, less injuries are in the trail. Even though more people think they're going to get injured.
Interesting.
Statistics prove that trail running produces less injuries.
Interesting.
Less people go to the hospital. You know what's the number one people go to the hospital for running? On treadmills. You know what number 2 is? Tracks.
Really?
Yep. Number 3 is concrete or asphalt. And number 4, trails.
Interesting. That's
so
cool.
The one thing that people think they get hurt on the most, they actually get hurt on the least. And the thing that people think that are the safest, treadmills and tracks, have a lot more injuries.
Interesting.
And I tell people, so every time I can convince somebody to go trail running, when they go, it's so invigorating. Their body produces more energy. They can run further than they ever thought. I took a lady that was only doing 5Ks on pavement or asphalt, felt like she was going to die. She came and worked out with me in the trails, And her first workout, she went 7 miles. And she was like, at the end of it, I was trying to see how far she could go. And she was like, she got to the point, she was like, you keep telling me we just got to go around the corner. And she's like, we done went around a lot of corners. She's like, when are we going to stop? And I could see her getting angry. I said, we're done. I just kept us going in a figure 8 because I wanted her to see how far she could go. And so after that, she just loved trail running.
I do enjoy. I used to live in College Station. I don't know if you've been out to College Station, but it's near Houston. Yeah. And we had a park, the Lick Creek Park, and I would go out there with my boy or my doggo, and we just run the trails. And there's something so nice and calming about just being in nature. And so you it's just like you say, it requires more energy, but it's mentally freeing.
Yes.
And so, like, yes, it's requiring more energy of me, but I'm sitting there running, looking at the birds and like just looking at the sky and just feeling the breeze. And it's just, you forget that you're running.
You're getting grounded.
Yeah.
Physically, mentally, and spiritually, you're getting grounded. You're in an environment that you were designed to be in moving. The only thing that we're designed to be in moving on concrete is cars.
That's right.
You know, so
that's a good point.
And marathons are great, but I tell people, if you have not done a trail run, I don't care how much you enjoy running marathons. If you have not done a trail run, you're missing it. Your body will move the way it's designed. You have to use all the different muscles of your body versus road running. It's the same mundane movement. And, you know, people get bored with that. But then at the same time, even that's freeing. But trail running, I tell people, if you can run 6 miles, or like I told you to one lady, but if you can run 6 miles outside of the trails, you can do 13 to 15 inside of the trails. And you'll go more distance and feel the same type of energy you feel like afterwards.
Yeah.
And you're going to feel better. And more of because you're not just taking toll on 1-2 muscle groups. You know, you're using all your muscles, more of your core, which more people want to work on. They want to work on their core because they understand if they get their core stronger, they can run faster. And I said, well, then go trail run.
That's a good note. You're making me want to go trail run.
Yeah. Because people used to ask me before I got shot, people used to ask me, how is it that you can run so fast? 'Cause I would literally, just for conditioning, I would pace marathons because I was doing ultra running. I love 50 milers inside of the trail. So I would do 30, 40, 50 mile trail runs for my long runs. That's up to 40. Insane. And people were like, so when I did like runs, pacing marathons, people were like, how do you just do this? And I'm like, because it's easy. Trail running is a lot more involved, intense, takes more energy. But then your body knows it needs to produce more energy. And so I was about like this. I went from 400 pounds when I first started running, almost 400 pounds, 394. The first year I lost 100 pounds. The second through the fifth year, I lost an additional 78 pounds total. So I lost 178 pounds, which is 10 pounds more than the average man weighs. So I lost a whole person, literally.
That's crazy.
So I was going to, like, literally start running professionally before the shooting happened. My benchmark run was 2 weeks from the time that the shooting happened. Now, of course, the inquiring minds want to know, when I got shot, what was the first question that I asked my doctor? Can I do my trail run? I had a 50 miler planned. And he told me, yeah, just depending on how much pain you want to take. And I was in a lot of pain. About 40 miles, my body just shut down on me. I had vertigo kick in, And I was and everything went downhill from there because I got just damage. And so I got progressive muscle weakness on my right side. And now, 8 years later, I'm starting to feel the nerve damage. First, it was just in my hip I was feeling it. Now I feel it out through my whole leg down to my feet. And then the overcompensation that my left leg has to do, it's hurting. And so I just I need to take a break. Yeah. As much as I love running and being out there, I was like, I gotta help my body. So let me just take a break. And then the book got provided by me from Dr. Lauren. He was following me, interviewing me. And after everything was done with my quest, he sent me an email, said, check your email. And I checked my email and it had an attachment, and I'm downloading the attachment and it's taking forever. So I'm like, dude, what you send me, a book? Yes, it's a book. I need you to fact check it and send it back to me. Don't try to correct anything. Just fact check it. It took me 6 months to go through that book.
Damn.
Because sometimes I couldn't read it because I was still dealing with the trauma from everything of reading it. It's one thing to tell your story. It's another thing to read what you said. And it was very, very tough for me to get through those 6 months. Finally got through it. This past August, everything was done. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to start trying to go out and tell my story. So I'm like, if anybody want to know anything about, surviving a workplace shooting, what to look for in a workplace shooting, your company, your running group, your book club, whatever, I'm willing to, I don't care if it's one-on-one. If you need that help and you need to talk to somebody one-on-one, I'll come see you. I'll make it happen. I really will, because it's worth it. Because I wish somebody like me would have been there for me.
It's amazing, man. It's amazing. I love just the cover alone. I like, and I'm excited to read it.
My dude Freddie did that in Sugarland. Freddie, oh man, I want to say this right. Hinowosa. Freddie gonna be like listening to this one day. Be like, man, you chopped and screwed my name up. I'm gonna be like, I am from the dirty South, right? Southwest A-Leaf, Texas, the SWAT, baby. Home of the chop and screw, Club Creek. Shout out to the Club Creek.
There you go. Oh, yeah,
people know about that chopped and screwed in the South. But yeah, Freddie, a friend of mine, did that cover for me, man. He was in this Christian rock group back in the day called Modern Day John. We stayed in touch, and he does amazing work.
It's really gorgeous.
Yeah. You know what? I sent him a bunch of stuff saying, hey, you can grab this from this. And he put it together just like I visioned it, except for the bullet in the front. And I was like, that kind of threw me. And so I asked people about it, and people was like, you need to remove it. You need to remove it. I said, then that means I need to keep it.
Yeah, seriously.
And that cover has just spoken volumes to people. And it's a conversational piece. Even if you just want the book to be on your dining room table, you need to get the book. Get the book.
Yeah, get the book. It's beautiful art. I definitely recommend the book. And so who is Lauren Murfield? How did he get connected with you throughout this process?
Shout out to my hot chocolate runners. So there's a race series called the Hot Chocolate.
Okay.
And Allstate puts it on.
Cool.
Shout out to my hot chocolate crew, because the lady that runs it and facilitates it, and the crews across the U.S., they do an amazing job. Cool. If you have not done a hot chocolate run, they added more distances, so you don't have to do the 15K, which is 9.32 miles. You can do the 10K, or you can do the 5K, and you get the same bling and everything. Well, not for the 5K, but you get the same jacket and stuff. So they do an amazing job. I met him at the Tampa, Florida one.
Okay.
And I was pacing the 15K. I was supposed to be pacing another time with the 15K. And a friend of mine that's a pacer, she had an injury. And she was like, I'm not going to be able to keep up with this pace. And I like doing the sweeper pacer. I like being the dude in the back because I talk noise to people. I encourage them and things of that nature. So
Love that.
I was like, okay, I'll switch with you, because she had an injury, and I did her pace. And so I think we were doing 13 minutes or 12, something like that. And so the group started off, and, I introduced myself, get them crunk, get them going. And so when we were running, I was like, I want everybody to tell me, what's your name, what's your flame, what's your name, what's your claim to fame, and why is the reason you came? And so I picked two people. We did a walk run. So during the walk, I picked two people to answer the questions. And so we go through the whole group and stuff, and it's like a whole group, and we having fun. We running and we chanting and stuff. I'm having them do cadences, and we having fun on the course. And Lauren's wife, Lisa, she ran in another group. She said later on, I wish I was in your group. A lot of people wish they were in my group. Matter of fact, Hot Chocolate asked me if I'll come to all their races. I said, I can't come to all of them. I said, people want me at other ones, but I would love to do that with them one day.
That's awesome.
Hopefully, maybe they'll sponsor the books for people, and I'll just come be the sweeper pacer and have fun with people.
That'd be neat, man.
But I met him there, and at the end, he says, everybody has said theirs except for you. And I wasn't expecting that. So I answered them because I wasn't trying to steal the thunder. It wasn't about me. It was about them. And so I didn't want my story to overshadow their story. And so I humbly stated what I was doing and why and everything. So afterwards, he was like, I want to get your information. I want to stay in contact with you, which I have people do that all the time. And normally people don't stay in contact.
Yeah.
But this guy, man, he hasn't gone away. I tried to make him go away. He's claiming me as his friend publicly. I'm like, I'm never going to get rid of him.
It's too late. You're stuck.
Yes, I'm stuck. If he claiming me as a friend publicly, I'm never going to get rid of him. But, man, he's been a blessing in my life. And so he's done a couple of blogs on me. He's a professional coach, has a doctorate in communication, taught in colleges. If he's just a smart guy, man, one of those people that are just super intelligent that just by knowing him, you're going to do better in life. And so that's what has happened. He did some blogs on me. We've connected. He's came and paced for me on some of my journeys on my races. And then he kept in contact with me. And then he was like, well, you're going to do this quest, man. You need to, make sure you're doing a diary, which I'm not about to do a diary. I'll bust a rap in a minute, but, I'm not going to do a diary, right? So he said, well, let me interview you every week after your run. I said, okay.
That's cool.
So he said, we can do it on Zoom. You can save it and you can use it for your kids and your grandkids and your great-grandkids to share later on what you did. And I was like, all right. And then after that, once he learned more about me, he was like, dude, you need to tell your story. You need to tell your story. And I was just trying to live. I was literally just trying to get back to living life. Yeah. And I'm like, man, I'm trying to write a book. And that's the last thing on my mind. But like I tell people, the book wrote me. I didn't write it. And the pen was Lauren Murfield. He listened. He asked questions. He listened to my answer. He typed it up, and he had the book.
It's a good friend, man.
My dude, Freddie, who's been phenomenal all my life since I've known him, has been there in so many ways, just as, a brother in Christ and just a phenomenal example of a man. Freddie has just touched my life in so many ways, and I've never said that. So when I send this to him, he's going to be like, oh, Cuddy. That's what they call me, Cuddy, just my nickname from breakdancing back in the day.
Nice.
But now I'll be broke dancing if I try now. Break a leg, break a hip. break a head, break a lip. But yeah, so he stuck with me, Lauren, and he's been there for me, man. And I couldn't do what I've done this far. Matter of fact, we were talking a couple of weeks ago, and he says, not to sound like I'm more important than I am. He said, but what would you be doing if you didn't have a book right now? And I said, Lauren, I have no idea. I said, God sent you in my life to do this. I said, and this is all I know to do. And this is what I'm going to do until God show me more to do. But telling my story and going to speak and having this book, that's what's keeping me alive.
I think
literally.
It comes out of an unfortunate, tragic set of events, but that kind of focus and that kind of effort that you're putting towards this project is something that I think people try to harness in a way for their own businesses or for their own podcasts or for their own adventures or their own goals in life.
Yeah.
And even it's unfortunate that you had to go through, and it's not that you had to, it's unfortunately you went through that experience, but it's neat that you've gotten to this point where it's just such a keen focus on this is the only thing that kind of really matters at this point, because this is the thing that keeps everything else alive, keeps everything else afloat. But that focus on that one thing, like people are always talking about, you wake up at 5 a.m., you go for a run, you have your you microdose your mushrooms, and then you take your mud water, and then you drink your coffee. You have to drink 64 ounces of water before 10 o'clock, just so they can make sure that they are their best selves for their projects. It's just like this, you just got to do it.
This is breathing to me. This is nourishment. This is purpose. And my thing with this, I get people that want to offer me stuff, want me to do this, want me to do that. And again, they see my skills, right? They and it's for their purposes. I'm like, nah, this is it. And I'm okay with that, saying no to you. And you know how much money you make? Man, money don't mean anything. I wasn't thinking about money when I was at the end of that bullet. I mean, that barrel with them bullets coming at me. I thought about purpose. I thought about being the father. I thought about what kind of legacy am I leaving behind? What will people really say about me when it's just them, their conscience, and God? Because people can say anything about you. But what they really think about you and know to be true about you, they're saying that between them and God, and that's what matters to me. I tell my kids all the time, I've handed you the baton. It's time for you to run your race. My race is coming to an end, and I tell people this is the last third of my life, and I'm okay with that. I'm not afraid to die. I just didn't want to die at the wrong time. And I know that when I'm done with however long God let me do this, that I get to see Jesus. And I'm so grateful and so thankful that he continued to allow me to live. That he even saved me, that he forgave me, that he's allowing me to do this, that he gifted me with that book, that he's gifted me to be here with you now. And wherever else he'll have me to speak and share the story. And I don't know how it's all going to end. But I do know that when it ends on this side and I'm in his presence, I just want to hear well done. And so because I know who I am and whose I am and what and why I'm here, anything outside of that, it doesn't mean it doesn't matter. It's just not my race to run. It's just not my race to run. And when you find your race, you run it. You run that thing with all your heart. Everything that it's been in your life, it's like you can just see that it was part of your training. It was part of what got you where you are. And you run it. And you do it successfully. And that's what I'm doing right now. I'm running my race.
Keep on running, my man. It's a big deal. You're going to change a lot of people's lives. Just keep on going.
It's the greatest ultra marathon that I've ever been privileged to start.
Still got many miles ahead of you, sir.
And I thank you for letting me stop at your aid station.
Of course. Anytime, brother. Anytime. You're always welcome here. I'm going to ask you one more thing before we sign off here. Some words of advice that you'd like to give to somebody else. I mean, I think you just had some fantastic ones. But if you were to sum up some stuff, that if you had a 16-year-old kid listening in, an 18, 20-year-old kid listening in, what do you tell that kid?
I tell them the same thing I've told my kids. Live for what you're passionate for. What you willing to suffer for, what you willing to die for, that's what you live for. And everything else needs to support that. If you're not willing to die for it, it's not what you purpose to do. It's just not. People want to live for money. They want to live so they can get the girl. They want to live so they can get the guy. That's not living. That's existing. Living means that you can't wait to go to sleep so that you can wake up to start it all over again. Living means you willing to put everything into it. One of the things that I would tell people in corporate America, and when I say corporate America, I'm saying that tongue in cheek. Family first. God, family. Then that company. Because even if you do the very best thing for that company and the people there, it doesn't mean they're going to do the very best thing for you. And at the end of the day, I am not bitter because of what they did to me. Did it make me angry? Yes. Was I mad? Yes. But I'm better because they didn't owe me anything but to love me. And because they didn't do what they were supposed to do, they're going to answer to God for that. But I would tell my boss all the time, the reason why my work is so excellent is because of who I work for. The company was just a resource. They were a place that I was employed, but the person that I worked for was God. And I needed to please him each and every day that I walked through that door. So when they did what they did to me, it didn't make me bitter because they was not my source. I was their resource, and they were my resource. And that's the one thing that I wish that I can get out to everybody. And if you're struggling with anything, I leave you with this. Find your run. I wish I can get everybody to run, but your run may be weightlifting. Your run may be Pilates. Your run may be yoga. Whatever that run is for you, do it. You talking about self-love? Everybody love themselves. But if you want to maintain yourself, find your run and do it.
It's beautiful. Where can people find you? Where can people get the book?
At Running Servant, The Running Servant, everything. The book is on Amazon, on Kindle. I've had requests, Audible, but people want me to do it and read it. For some reason, people love my voice.
You have a good voice, man.
And so I don't have the time to do it. I'll do the Audible next year.
Okay.
They're going to have to wait for that till next year.
It's not easy.
No, it's not.
Reading a book, it's for Audible. It's not easy.
Yeah. And then if you want to get an autographed copy of the book, you can hit me at anything with Running Servant. At Running Servant on Venmo, PayPal, Cash App. If you want to hit me with the Zelle, then, you got to hit my cell phone number, 832-839-0630. And you can Zelle me that way. But everything else is Running Servant.
Beautiful.
At Running Servant.
Well, thank you for your time today, man. I really do appreciate it. And I'm excited to read the book, and I look forward to having you on again in the future. We'll have you on again.
Man, I appreciate it.
Of course.
There's a lot of aspects to this. We only, I feel like I'm a realtor just showing you the different rooms to the mansion. And then later you can tell me which room you want to go walk in. And I can tell you more about that room.
Definitely, I would imagine the mental struggle behind all of it is a whole other podcast in itself. So we'll definitely have you back on to hopefully get a little bit more in depth with all those kind of things.
Yeah. Anytime, bro.
Beautiful. Well, thank you. Thank y'all. Make sure you go like, share, subscribe. Go find the book at The Running Service and then Servant, and then at Ben Nevares on everything as well. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you. Love y'all. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Ben Nevares podcast. Check us out on iTunes, Spotify, and all other major podcast hosting platforms. Be sure to leave us a 5-star review on iTunes.